Tatiana says, with how things are going, I never wanted to be more wrong. I got laughed at by someone on MeWe for mentioning genocide. Talk about not knowing history. By the way, thanks for all the love the other day. Oh, we all love you, Tatiana. And yeah, people who laugh at the possibility of bloody unrest down the road from where we're at right now have not studied history, and or at the most they just have the broad strokes, and they probably have an inability of understanding that history is something that happens to those who are in standing still. Like, we are in the middle of history right now, and I think sometimes people remove themselves. They're like, these are all the things that happened that are bad that can't happen again. No,
I don't think you even need to know that much about history to like. There was a lot of death last century.
Yeah,
there's a lot of democide. There was a lot of governments killing their own citizens. So to suggest that that's something that could happen in the United States is not beyond the pale. I mean, of course it's something that could happen. It could happen anywhere. So yeah, I think it's just complacency, and humans are very good at doing this. And this is why I think a lot of people push back on me for being a pessimist. I'm not a pessimist. I'm optimistic about like doing this. I'm trying to save the values that built Western civilization. This is what I'm doing. But I do try and have a realistic outlook. And a lot of people view that as pessimism because they don't want it to be true. Like, just because you don't like the description of the world doesn't mean that that description is inaccurate. Bad things can happen. Governments can kill their people. Civil wars can start. Unrest can happen. There's nothing magical about the United States where that thing can't happen. We're not somehow like a different species of people than the people in the Soviet Union or Cuba or communist China. We're not.
But these people set themselves apart. They look at something like Nazi Germany, for example, and they put themselves on this intellectual high ground, this moral high ground that they haven't earned. They look back at something like that and say, how could those people have gone along with that? I never would have done that. You're doing it right now. You are doing it right now, and you're too blind to see it. You're going along with it right now. You're going along with the root of the human behavior that caused Nazi Germany, the good Germans who just kept quiet and went along with whatever was happening. You're doing it while you ignore these purges.
Right.
And
which is why these purges happen. Because people like you ignore it.
Because you're ignoring it. You're a good German. You're doing it right now.
Right.
Cowboy carpentry. Cowgirl carpentry. I know you. Gives us a super chat and says, thanks for a few moments of sanity. I feel like I've been taking crazy pills. Yeah, we are living in a time. I know I've quoted this before, but you know that Saint Anthony quote? I know Tatiana knows it. I'm going to mangle it. It's about, there will come a time when men will go mad. Okay, here we go. This is it. A time is coming when men will go mad. And when they see someone who is not mad, they will attack him saying, you are mad. You are not like us. And I think about that quote a lot lately because we are living in such crazy times. And it does feel like sometimes if you're not taking the crazy pills with everyone else, if you're not getting the propaganda drip every day, that you're sort of like, I'm being made to feel like I'm the crazy one. Like, you guys. Anyway, thanks for joining us, Cowgirl Carpentry.
Wait, can I I was thinking about something. This thought's still forming, so I apologize if it's not really well formed, but you were talking about how these people, they are the people that are letting this happen. They are the people that are not saying anything. And here's what I would challenge everyone to do. I would challenge you to be a realist with yourself and to step back objectively and say, what evidence so we know some things about human behavior. We read the book. Well, what was it? What was the book about the Nazi?
Ordinary Men.
Ordinary Men. We read Ordinary Men. We've seen how ordinary people can be used, can do horrible, horrible things. We've seen that. So we know what human nature is capable of. What evidence do you have based on your behavior that you stand up when pressured socially? And if you can't think of anything, if you haven't been vilified by a mob or attacked by people on Twitter or Facebook and you spend time there, if you haven't been ostracized in any way ever by anyone, if no one's ever accused you of some form of wrongthink and said that you were an outcast or tried to make you an outcast, you are part of the problem. There's zero evidence that you've exercised any muscle necessary for standing up against authoritarianism.
You would likely be the person in the Ash conformity experiment
Yes.
who picks the shorter line and says it's the longer line because everyone else is doing it. And you know what? But they've deluded themselves that they are social justice people have deluded themselves. Where, again, remember, these are the people who think that white supremacy is everywhere.
Right.
White supremacy, which is such a laughable belief system. By the way, it is getting more popular in the past 4 years because of you guys. But it was to the point. It was to the point of marginalization where the Klan couldn't they couldn't do a parade without everyone correctly mocking them.
Right.
and I was talking about this with Brian on Honey Badger Radio this morning, but they were having to go on Maury Povich where we could all laugh at them as the clown show that they are because they're so not the mainstream. Okay. But this is social justice has convinced people that it's white supremacy is everywhere. And meanwhile, that they are somehow the resistance. You're not the resistance. McDonald's sponsors you. You know, Amazon, all these major corporations, Procter and Gamble, Gillette, they're all speaking your belief system. It's not the resistance brought to you by Starbucks. Like, you guys are not you haven't resisted shit. You are out there. You know what? You're putting up your black square on blackout. You're going along with BLM, a Marxist, racist organization that is all about the destruction of the black family. You're going along with stuff like that at a social pressure. You would be sitting there picking the shorter line in the Ash conformity experiment. That's exactly who you are. It's exactly because you want to think, well, this is popular right now, and I want to be one of the good guys, and these are the good guys, and that's what you're doing.
Yeah.
And like Carter's saying, like, take a second and think, like, when have you ever faced social ostracization for spouting what is the mainstream ideology?
Well, have you done anything to garner enemies? I'm remembering now it was probably 20 years ago. I wrote an article on Capitalism magazine called "In Defense of Enemies," and it was about this idea that if you don't have enemies, you don't stand for anything. Because the minute you stand up and stand for anything, right or wrong, it doesn't matter what it is, someone will oppose you. The only people without enemies are kind of like borderless jellyfish that just kind of conform to whatever's around them because they're not standing for anything. So no one cares. No one's your enemy. No one's angry at you. No one dislikes what you're saying because you don't matter. You don't say anything. You're never going to be in the way. You're never going to be a problem. And if that's you, if you're never a problem and you never have any enemies, well, you're the ordinary man. You're the one who's going to be at the business end of or showing someone the business end of a rifle during the revolution, thinking that I'm just following orders.
I'm just following orders, guys. It's just a private company, guys. I know it's a gulag, but it's owned by Amazon. I have to give credit. I can't remember who said. Somebody said that in one of my threads. They were like, this new kind of like the authoritarian woke left. They would be defending gulags as long as it was owned by Amazon. Like, it's a private company gulag, guys. They can do what they want.
It reminds me of the title of Michael Brechtenwald's book, The Google Archipelago, which is a great book.
Oh, great.
Yeah. Yeah.